Okay, ladies. Good morning. Or afternoon. Glad everybody made it today. Thank you for coming on time. Thanks for coming on a Saturday. So we're here today to have this group to help Joanne out with her case that she has, and she is looking for encouragement and any ideas that we might have to help her cope and help her client cope with her current situation. So we're going to start by Joanne is going to give us a little brief summary of the case, and then we're going to jump right into the questions. So just as a reminder about what we're going to do today, we have Adrienne with the first 3 questions on the list, then Eva with the next 2, 4, and 5, and Corinne is going to finish us out with 6, 7, and 8. After we're done with that, Joanne's going to turn the camera off and we will just wonder things in the popcorn kind of style. After we're all done wondering, Joanne will turn the camera back on and we'll do the compliments in the same style. And then I'll ask you guys if you have any questions or, deep thoughts about the process that we went through today. Is that okay with everybody?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Awesome. Anybody have any other questions? Okay, Joanne, take us away.
Okay, I'm really nervous because I don't like answering questions because I didn't read the questions first. Anyway, so my case right now is at my agency. She is 16. We're going to call her Heather. She has gone through a lot of trauma. And just recently, her mom actually gave up her parental rights. Her father has no contact with her, and her best friend's mother actually has legal custody of her now. So she has had no stability at home, constant verbal and physical abuse, and now is just completely in a different setting. So she's coming to us, and this is the second time she's actually at the clinic for therapy. The first time she was still with her biological mother, and now she has a new legal guardian. So keeping all of that in mind, she has a lot that she needs to work on, and I want to best help her. But then at the same time, we haven't even finished the intake process, and my internship ends in 2 months. So I feel like that's only going to be adding to the abandonment issues of her father and her mother. So, I mean, there's a lot more to it if you want to get more detailed, but that's the basic summary of what's happening.
Great. Good summary. Thank you. So, Adrienne, you are up.
So, first of all, I just wanted to say, Joanne, thank you for sharing about that particular case. It's really clear from, what you're describing and even the way you're describing it that you really genuinely care about this girl, and it sounds like you're kind of struggling to figure out, where to go with this. So what are you hoping for from this consultation?
Honestly, 2 things. 1, the best way to help her in the short amount of time that I have. And 2, I guess I'm going to be quite honest, to make me feel not guilty for leaving in 2 months, even though we have to. It's, it ends. It's just I only have 2 months, which normally people have a lot longer if they're actually working there. So I have already warned her about the fact that I'm ending my internship in 2 months. Still doesn't really help me feel guilty about leaving.
I totally understand that. What are your best hopes for your client?
That she will feel more confident in who she is, because she's a great girl. And I can clearly see that she has insight to most of the issues. For being 16, she comes into the clinic and she says, I have this, I think this will help me. But she has really low self-esteem. And I want her to be confident and I guess to feel loved and secure with where she is now, and to acknowledge her abandonment issues and trauma, but to grow from it. that's what we want for anyone who's gone through traumatic issues.
Sure. So if Heather does, achieve this, if she does kind of achieve this growth that you're talking about, how do you think she would notice?
Well, she would have a more stabilized mood.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing, with the presenting problem at the clinic, it is that her new guardian stated that she's very up and down, and she has stated to me that she cries over the tiniest things. She constantly is thinking about her biological mom and her father and all of these issues, so she's constantly like up and down like a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she has bipolar. She's worried about that. I think a lot of it just has to do with her trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So for her to be able to notice when she's going up and down and find coping skills to stabilize, and I guess just to be content with where she is.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Is there anything else you think would be different other than kind of her emotion regulation and, feeling content?
Well, I think that the fact that she's now in a stable environment is helping. I think if it continues to be stable, that could show that there's a change, that it's not her that's causing the instability in the house, that it's, now that she's taken out of the instability of the other house and put in a new one and it stays stable, maybe that'll show her that it's not her fault and that she can maintain this.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. That actually leads into my last question is
okay.
Kind of how will other people notice when she has sort of, achieved these things that you're talking of?
Mm-hmm. I feel that, again, with the stability and the fact that she'll be able to control her emotions better rather than just constantly controlling her anger rather than hurting other people.
Mm-hmm.
And, from what she's been seeing so long with her biological mom, where her mom's hitting her. So her way of dealing with anger and sadness is going to be what she knows,
Mm-hmm.
That's what normally happens. So for her to be able to control that and learn from that, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you.
Good job. Good job, Adrian. Great questions. Joanne, you're doing a great job answering them. So, Eva, are you ready?
I am.
Okay.
So, Joanne, you mentioned in your description that you're still in the intake process, but you do have the goal, or your client has the goal of a stabilized mood, so she's not acting out as much and can find some balance with her emotions. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 of course stands for meeting that goal and 1 stands for, well, you're still really working really hard on it, where do you think where are you at right now?
With me or with her? Like, where do I think I am or where she is?
Where the goal, you're meeting your client's goal, helping your client achieve her goal.
Okay. As of now, I think a 4, because it's definitely stated that that's what she wants to do, and that's in the presenting problem of why she's here.
Mm-hmm.
But I only got her a couple weeks ago, and the intake process is a 3-week session, like a 3-session thing.
Okay.
And so it's been kind of spread out because of sickness, It's really concerning to me because I want to get into the treatment plan and the actual process. But so I think because that's what she wants to do, I think that I'd be at a 4.
Okay. The next question would be is like, how do you know that you're at a 4? Is that the feeling you're getting because she has already stated her goal?
Yeah.
That you're at a 4 instead of like a 3?
Yes, because at least it's there. I wouldn't give it a 5 quite yet because 5 would mean that she's like halfway there. 4 at least is acknowledging the fact that there's an issue and that she wants to change. But I haven't really gotten to the point where it's actually just individual therapy yet to actually speak with her about how things are going. The intake process is really just asking a lot of questions. And sometimes I go a little deeper into them and ask different questions to try to get a better insight. but I have to answer the questions within 3 sessions.
Okay. And where do you want to be? Like when you're done working with this client, where would you like to be?
That's such a hard question because ideally I would want it to be a 10, but I don't know if we can get her to a 10 within 2 months because the internship's ending. So in a realistic world, I would hope that she's at maybe like a 6 or a 7, being realistic.
Uh-huh. Okay, so you already had mentioned that if you wanted to be at a 5, that you would need to pretty much be done with intake and then really focus on her goal. How do you think this will be, being on getting to a 5 once intake is over? How do you think that will be different?
Well, by then we'll have a treatment plan. And then I love talking to the clients about the treatment plan because they make the goals themselves. And then we work on the objectives. Okay, so this is your goal. So what are we going to do to reach that?
Mm-hmm.
Just knowing that she set that up on her own and that we'll work on that during the therapy, that would make me feel like she's actually working towards it rather than right now where she's just stating that this is a goal. Once a treatment plan is set, I feel like we'll work into like the 5 or 6 because I can see or hear her tell me this is what I want to do and this is what I'm going to do about it.
So I feel like my next question you've already kind of answered because you're talking about having to, you're doing your intake, you have to finish it within 3 sessions, then you want to do the treatment plan. But is there anything else that you're already doing that's on track to get to that goal of 6 or 7?
Well, not that I'm doing right now because there's only so much I can do within the 3 sessions. Besides asking more questions if I feel that they're needed in the intake process to push her towards her goal.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking about trauma or the home environment where I have to answer those questions, sometimes if I feel that that's a big part of why she's unstable, I'll say, do you feel like this is what caused this? To try to have her see cause and effect.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like when I do that, it helps her move in the right direction even more.
Okay. So going with what you just mentioned about trauma, how else are you trauma informed?
Well, I feel like every part of the intake process is trauma informed because all of the questions that we're asking are questions that we need to know to best help them. And if anything comes up, obviously there's a trauma section and then there's a family section, but if any of the other symptoms, we have to go through a long list of symptoms. If any of the symptoms show up, what I'll do is I'll say, okay, you're feeling this way. What has caused this? Has there been any incidents in your life that has caused this? Or is this, was this in the past? Was this recent? Things along that line. And then when we do talk about trauma, asking very delicately and also working on normalizing the incidents if they do share.
Well, thank you for answering all my questions. Sounds like you're already doing a really great job with working with your clients.
Thank you.
Okay. Good job, everybody. Corinne.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to jump in as to what do you think, what is it that the client is doing that's already on track?
Well, she's actually coming to therapy. So that's the first thing. She's 16, so she has the decision to come or to not come, quite honestly. So every time she comes in and tells me that this is how she's feeling, I'm constantly saying, well, you're here, you know what's happening. So that's the biggest first step ever. And she wants to be stabilized. She wants to talk. My sessions are supposed to be 45 minutes, but I always feel, and I wrote that in the presenting problem, I always feel like she wants to talk more and get it out. She just wants to work on it. So I can sense her ambition.
Anything?
I'm sorry. Is that a dog?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. This is what I was warning.
It's fine. I thought it was a motorcycle. I'm sorry, Karen. I didn't hear what you said.
Okay. Is there anything else that the client might be doing that is going on the right track?
Well,
I think
not
you pretty. I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. I think that she's working really hard on settling into her new living situation. And that's really hard because she constantly tells me how much she misses her biological mom and that she feels really abandoned by her father. But she's trying really hard to focus on school, to focus on where she's at right now in her new family. You know, when her new guardian came in, she was calling her mom. So that also worries me a little bit with the abandonment issues. But the fact is, she's trying to be content where she's at. She's trying to grow, even though she's had a lot of instability.
Okay. What's the next small step?
Finishing the intake process. So that's our next session. And then I'm going to be working on a treatment plan. So at least knowing that the treatment plan will be done before I leave is a little calming for me, because with a treatment plan, another therapist can come in and see the goals that we've set and kind of work off from there. So that's what we'll do. And the third session is normally about family and family issues. So I feel like this is going to be a really hard session because that's where most of her instability and trauma come from. But that will be the next session that we have.
I think Corinne might be a little bit frozen.
A little bit frozen.
Yeah. So we can just take a pause for a minute, see if she comes back to us. There she is.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Is there anything else that we might
That we might what?
So I think that, the next question is just, is there anything else that we're missing or anything else that will help us understand what you need out of us today?
Okay. Honestly, I think I've covered it because I know I wrote a lot more too in the presenting problem. And I can't think of anything else that I need from you guys other than to help me feel better about leaving and ways that you think I can best help her, even though I'm not even through the intake process. So if it's 2 more sessions, I'll only have about a month or so with her.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is everybody else feeling like we've asked what we need to ask and done what we need to do for this section?
I think so.
Okay. Corinne? Was still frozen for the moment, but okay. So let's move on to the wonderment phase. So Joanne, if I could ask you to turn your camera off and become invisible.
I'm invisible.
Okay, great. Does anybody have anything that they're wondering to start us off?
I wondered, are there any verbal or visual reminders that the session might be coming to a close? I know sometimes people have like a clock in the room and they might put like a sticker on a certain spot at the clock of when the sessions end, or a verbal reminder to the client that say, hey, we got about 5 minutes left, 2 minutes left. I wonder, could that be helpful?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder who else is available at the clinic, and if maybe Joanne could start meeting with the client and this other person to address the fact that, she will be leaving soon because the internship is ending.
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of, I wonder if that might help to address some of the guilt that Joanne is feeling.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if Joanne has thought about the skills that she's using already, even during the intake process, to make Heather feel comfortable and to, I guess, just have that therapeutic process starting already, even though they haven't gotten to the meat of the sessions.
I wondered, is there support for the guardian, for the family? Are they in therapy, or do they just have a resource that they can go to besides Joanne when things are rough at home?
Mhm.
I wonder too, along the same lines as what Kristen said, I wonder, what Joanne is already doing that is helping this client to feel connected, because it sounds like she is coming to therapy and seeking this out. So I wonder, what she's already doing to help engage this client.
Mhm. I wondered, in regards to the resources that you have available at your clinic, I wondered what trauma-specific therapy you might have, something like maybe a seeking safety group or EMDR, or that's what I have for trauma-specific resources in my head, but something to help her out if that's the primary problem.
Another thing that I was wondering about regarding to her guardian or her family was, since her guardian is really anxious to get her on medicine, is there a possibility that the guardian can talk to somebody before the intake process with Heather is actually over? Just to inform her maybe that, give it some time and maybe she doesn't need the meds, or what options there are besides just putting her on meds right away.
Nice. Corinne's back, so I just wanted to give her the opportunity to jump in if she were wondering and doing the popcorn method. So hop in when you would like to. Go ahead, Adrienne. I stepped on you.
I was just going to say, I wonder what's keeping Joanne so engaged with this client, and it sounds like she genuinely cares about this client.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have another one. I wonder, have you discussed, Joanne, have you discussed with your client that you are leaving, and it's kind of given her the heads up pretty much on that time limit, and maybe that could be something discussed in once the intake is over, to see how you want to transition?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I wonder if Joanne had thought about whether establishing a connection or establishing a therapeutic relationship is actually a part of, if it could be considered a part of one of the first steps in providing therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what independent living skills Heather already has, considering that she's an older teenager with some complicated family stuff going on. So I wonder, if she's thinking about living independently at some point in the next few years.
I wonder, given that she has no contact with her father and seemingly spotty contact with her mother, are there any other relatives, biological relatives, that she could connect with to help her process some of the, feelings and emotions and everything that she's experiencing?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if whether a continuous discussion in regards to your transition could help Heather feel a little more prepared
So Corinne, you're coming in and out. Oh, you're back. You're a little bit in and out, so I wonder if you could repeat your question.
I like that you used a wonder question for that.
It's really easy to get into the wondering habit. Corinne, could you repeat your question for us? Hey, Corinne. Okay, so Corinne is in and out. So I have one more wonderment. I wonder if Heather is aware of her own strengths. If anybody's pointed them out to her.
I wonder how strong the bond is between Heather and her new legal guardian.
Okay, so it looks like if everybody's done, I think that we can have Joanne turn her camera back on, and we will move on to giving compliments.
Am I supposed to answer any of those wonder questions?
I think you're just supposed to wonder upon them yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, everyone, about the train sound.
So I just want to say, Joanne, that I felt by your write-up that you are very aware and perceptive of your client's situation and her emotional struggle, and just your involvement shows that you really deeply care about what's best for your client and that you want her to succeed.
Something I noticed, Joanne, is that, in describing your client, you only said positive things about her, which I think is amazing because, we all know that she's working on certain issues and she's struggling with certain things, and that's part of why she's seeking therapy, but the positive regard that you have for her is very impressive.
Yeah, thanks.
So, Joanne, I want to compliment you on the amount of preparation that you are taking and trying to make sure that that the client is going to have a smooth transition, not only in a clinical sense, but as well as administratively.
Mm-hmm. Joanne, I want to compliment you on your modesty when presenting this case. I think that you know a lot more than what you give yourself credit for. And I also would like to compliment you on your bravery in being the first one to present a case, and being a good example and role model for the rest of us. Thank you for that.
Thanks, guys. You're gonna make me cry.
Yeah, you set the bar really high.
Sorry.
I would like to compliment you on your awareness of being trauma informed, and and thinking about this far ahead, even though because time will go by faster than we anticipate, and that you're already thinking of transitioning and what's best for your client instead of yourself. And I think that's really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And I also want to compliment you, Joanne, on your honesty in sharing not only your concerns about your client and, your hopes for her, but also your concerns about, feeling guilty and these very honest feelings that you're experiencing as you go through this process.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. Thank you.
No, definitely not easy.
I want to give you a compliment on being a strong advocate for Heather. I noticed as we read through the presentation that you have a lot of other forces pulling at you right now regarding this case. You know, you have the biological family in a way. You certainly have her family right now because they're very concerned about getting her on medication. You have whatever, you know, clinical forces you got going on with this is how long the intake takes, and then you have to do this. So everything's very prescribed for you, but you really keep Heather at the forefront of everything that's going on as you're doing what you have to do clinically. So I think that's great. That's a strength of yours.
Thank you.
Okay. We've lost poor Corinne again. Any other compliments?
I have one more compliment. Joanne, you mentioned when we first started this that you were feeling a little bit nervous about answering the questions, and you said you weren't sure if you were going to be able to answer them. And I just wanted to compliment you on how thoroughly you were able to answer and respond so completely to all of the questions that you were asked. And they're not easy questions.
No.
So.
Thank you.
I agree.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Okay, ladies, great job.
Yeah, everyone was nervous, and you guys did wonderfully too.
Good. So, I hope that Corinne is able to come back in and join us. Well, let's talk with Joanne first. Joanne, how was this process for you?
It was good. There was a lot of wonder moments that got me thinking about next steps I can take. I don't remember who it was, but somebody said if I could meet with another therapist, and that's something that we're doing. We're going to be working on that next week and choose, or not necessarily choosing, but setting her up with the therapist that we think is best for her. So that's something that really helped me. And all of your compliments helped me feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that this is just, you know, a fact of life. Sometimes this happens. You know, it could have been that within a month or two, she just stopped coming. You know, there's not much I can do about that. Or the therapist could be fired within a month, you know, things like that. So it's not like it's just the internship. Other things could have happened to be in the situation.
Right. So Corinne's back, and Corinne, if you can hear us, we've moved on to the part where Joanne is just talking about how this process was for her today. And she said our wonderments were helpful, some stuff that she's doing already, and she's kind of at the place where, you know, this is where it is, and you know, there's a lot of other things that could have happened to Heather, you know, just depending on how life rolls the dice and who she had for a therapist and if she was able to come for therapy. So what I'm hearing from you, Joanne, is that you feel a little bit less guilty about what, you know, life is bringing to you with your own circumstances. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. Did you have anything else, Joanne, that you wanted to add about your experience today?
No, but you all were very wonderful, and you're doing a great job facilitating. You sound super professional.
Thank you. All right, so how about everybody else? What worked for you today?
Kristen, your facilitating skills worked for me today. You did a wonderful job of keeping everything flowing and keeping it organized. Before we even started, I was feeling a little nervous, but I feel like you helped keep the group together and really get to the point of this project. So that worked for me.
Yeah, there was no like awkward silences of what we should be doing next. You just kind of gracefully filled it in like, okay, this is what's happening. This is what we're going to do. Any questions? Yeah, it was good.
Yes, I second and third the previous comments, and I really appreciated it too that you always filled in Corinne when she was able, you know, when she bleeped out or came back, that you didn't just sideline her, but just, you know, kept her updated.
Thank you. You got your mute button on there, girly. There she is.
Kind of day, huh? Yeah, I noted that every time I went away and came back.
Yeah.
That you kind of caught me up, and I appreciate that.
Thanks, Corinne.
It was not what I expected. It was very nice, though.
Well, nobody expects to have problems with the internet. So that being said, I wanted to, first address this for you. How was it for you? Obviously nerve-wracking. So talk about how it was for you, and then talk about it maybe more broadly as a group in case, because any one of us could experience the same issue the next time we do this. So how would you like to address that? Anybody? Corinne, if you're able. Anybody else can jump in.
I mean, this works for me, but that's because I didn't have internet issues.
Right.
So, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Corinna's frozen.
Mm.
You, yeah.
Oh, there she is. Hi. Now we can see you. Hello. You're sort of patchy.
Here's the thing is that I can hear and see everything that's happening, and you can hear me.
Okay.
Especially them. Yeah, really sorry, guys.
Okay. Oh, hello. Now we can see you in real time. Maybe.
I wonder if that's and let me know, Karen, because Corinne, you just experienced that. But I wonder if we have technical difficulties, would it be possible if we have access to just go on chat and at least write our comments in on chat?
That's a great idea. I like
Mhm.
that.
The phone
That is a good idea.
Doesn't Zoom do a phone in?
Zoom does have a phone in option. There is a phone number. And I want to say too that we don't have to use Zoom. I just got on Zoom because I was the most comfortable with that. So I'm like, it's my meeting today, so I'm just going to take it over. But we don't have to use Zoom either if you guys know something else that works a little bit better.
Yeah, maybe Corinne, well, I don't know if Corinne can hear me now. Looks like she's gone.
No,
Are you here, Corinne? I was thinking maybe Corinne, if, between today and our next meeting, if you want to let us know, like if there's a different platform that might work better, and then we can use that. Because I do think that I like Zoom, but I do think that it does use a lot of bandwidth compared to some other chat platforms. I think even Google Hangout is.
Okay, so we can definitely think about that for next time. And then, yeah, whoever wants to set it up and put it out there is fine with me, and I will figure out how to use it. In the meantime, like you guys said, I think just maybe us doing a little bit of research beforehand and figuring out the alternate methods of communicating within that platform. Like you said, there's a call-in option, there's a chat function, so we can still have the group member who's experiencing problems kind of with us at the same time. So does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else about today?
No, I think everybody did a great job, so thank you.
All right. I like ending on a good note. So I'm going to stop recording now. And